we're back with Unforgettable Conversations. Today, we have a very special guest. We have the one and only Joshua Medrano.
Close.
Okay. I feel like I was like trying to practice.
It was like right there, but it depends on which part of the county that you're in. So we're in Oxnard right now. It's Medrano.
Medrano, okay.
We hop, skip, and a jump away to Ventura. It's Medrano. So
okay,
yeah. But I answered to either one. Even Medrano, like
Medrano.
liquid plumber.
Ooh, I never thought. Yeah, I never thought of that one.
Yeah.
Medrano. Well, I'm from Ventura, so technically I could kind of fall into that category.
All right.
So how you doing, brother?
You know what? Too blessed to be stressed, my guy. We woke up today, so we're good.
Yeah,
good. How
it's
about
always
yourself?
a good day.
All right.
And we're gonna get water too.
Hey,
I don't know if you noticed that there's reports that apparently we're gonna get like one of the heaviest rains in California or in the States because of the amount of water that's gonna come from I think tonight all the way to like midweek next week.
Oh yeah, you better get your boogie boards and all that stuff ready. It's about to go
It's
off
about
for sure. Yeah.
It gets crazy here in Oxnard sometimes because certain areas get backed up with the area drains. So they'll just like I saw a post a long time ago when it got like super flooded, like closer to Wainimi, that like cars were just getting like engulfed in water.
Oh yeah.
Up to the seats and passenger seats. It's like, whoa, like that much water? It's like that much water.
Yeah. Back in the day, I lived over off of El Rio, over off Cortez, and it would flood like that. And there would be people out there, trying to surf and do all this stuff, like and get towed by trucks.
Yeah, street surfing.
So,
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be wild.
Yeah.
Everybody be safe out there.
So for the Bromigos, it's a very honorable guest today because we have someone that is not only an alumni, but part of the Ventura High School football team, previous football team, but also, just the school spirit, the Cougar Pride. I am also one of them. And to have you on here, someone that's actually like also went through the process of like going through the football program, having that school spirit, that's awesome. And you're not only a previous member, but also now a coach.
I am. And you know what? It's one of those things. I knew there was something about you. Now I know.
Yeah.
The whole Cougar Pride thing. But no, I graduated back in the day, back in 1999. But I played underneath Coach Phil McCune. That guy is the quadruple OG of the program, and spent many years in the lower level ranks, and finally worked my way up to coach over at Cam High, and was able to coach my oldest boy, road runners and the whole 9 yards. And I started thinking about it. 25 years in a blink of an eye. And I'm grateful to one of my previous coaches, Coach Dave Hess, and Felix. You remember Felix?
I feel like I do remember Felix.
Yeah. So both of them, I ran into both of them, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing? And what are we doing back in Ventura?" And and told them, and I was going to take some time off.
Right.
And they're like, "Nah, man, you got to coach." And I don't know. And so a couple days go by, and I end up getting put together with Coach Garcia, who's the head coach now. That guy, he's the truth, man. I gotta say, being around the program for a really long time, that word program, right? Mm-hmm. You have to build a program. You either have a team or you have a program. And in my humble opinion, I feel that Coach Garcia is really doing a tremendous job of building a program, all three levels, going out there and getting, the best coaches that he can, the best equipment, training. They spend quite a bit of investing in the training that they send their coaches to and everything like that. And like I said, I traveled around Ventura County coaching at different places, and my hat's off to him. And that's why now we're seeing the fruits of his labor, and it takes a while to change a culture. And Ventura football, we've always been smash mouth. We're going to run it in your face. We're going to control the clock, and our defense is going to come out and put their heel on your throat. That's Cougar football.
That is.
And for a while that was kind of lost, and sometimes that happens with generations, right? Sometimes you have a generation that's just second to none, and you have men playing amongst boys. And you know, over the last 5 years that you know I've been around, man, just every year it's just we just get tougher.
Yeah.
And the staff is just dialed in, and Garcia leads by example. And he's, you know, I had mentioned earlier, you know, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And that's like his whole mantra. Hey, we're all ready, no matter what. If we got to go tomorrow, I don't care if the game ain't tomorrow, we're going tomorrow, you know? So, yeah, very, very honored, very blessed, you know, and every time I walk on the field, I look around, you know, I start thinking of, you know, senior night with my parents, you know, my mom and my dad, and start thinking about all these, you know, great memories that now I'm watching others make those memories, and I'm able to be positive in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And the coaches that helped me become the man that I am now, man, just to be able to pay that forward, it's just like I like literally like every time we have a home game, Friday Night Lights, you know, I make sure to go over there, give coach a hug, and be like, hey man, thank you so much, because it's surreal. It's like one of those things where you think, oh man, it'd be great to go back to my alma mater and coach, right? And it's one thing to say it,
It's another thing.
and it's another thing to be there doing it. And it doesn't, you know, I've been there about 5 years now, and it hasn't lost its novelty, and I hope it doesn't, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like Coach Garcia, and I love the fact that he's now the varsity coach, because when I was attending, he was my JV coach. And the cool thing that I remember about Garcia is that he was very like you said, he's like very smash, like we're going hard, and you're gonna do it. It's gonna suck. But I remember one time, you know how like there's the stadium and then there's the JV practice field.
Yes.
That's down below. I remember one time he was after a long practice, and it was like a crucial, the tour days back in the day, and it was a crucial practice. We did I think Disneyland's afterwards, but the thing that he said to us is like, you guys aren't competing against other schools, you're competing against them. And he pointed up at what we were listening to, the practice of the varsity team. It was already late at night, our practice was done, but they were still going,
Right.
and it's like we're competing against them.
Yeah.
So we're trying to be they're the future goal of us.
Right.
So that was like, I think one of the monumental moments that I feel like it's like etched into my mind.
Sure.
And then one of the other things that I feel like, unfortunately, Coach Stu is no longer the coach there, and Garcia moved up. But Coach Stu back in the day, who was the varsity coach, my varsity coach, what he would always say is he would always have his little harmonica in the mornings in the gym. So he would unlock, and it'd be like 5 a.m, we're going to do weightlifting. And after the weightlifting, everyone's exhausted. You still have to go through all your periods and go through all your classes and everything, and know that at the end of the day, you still have practice. What he would tell us as like a quick motivation that was like just constantly repeating was, what you guys are doing out here, the average person isn't doing.
Right.
The average person is in bed right now, sleeping. They're in their comfortable, warm bed. They're happy. They're in that spot. But the difference between you guys and them is that you guys are out here putting the work.
We grinding.
We're grinding. We're grinding. And I remember he would say that right before the last like finishing run after we did the weightlifting. Last it's like, I think it was about like around the baseball field, and would run, and then like all that stuff just kind of like stays with you. It's weird how stuff like that stays with you.
Yeah.
And like you kind of take it into your life, and you're just like, yeah, like I'm having a tough time. It's been years since I've been in high school, but those words from Coach Stu, those words from Coach Garcia, they're still like etched into your brain. Like,
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
like a mantra that's like constantly beating a drum.
Yeah.
Just like boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. Like that's your motivation. And I feel like that's what you're going to do for a lot of people.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I hope so. I know, you know, my senior year was riddled with injury and the passing of my grandmother. My mom was a single mom for a really long time, and my grandparents were pretty much, you know, the mother and father figure. And I had to quit for a little bit because the passing of my grandfather, and then my grandmother and everything, and it was just really hard. And I remember going in to see Coach McCune in his office, and he was like, you know, what's going on, you know, and here during that time I was student body president. I was like involved in everything. So when I told him, hey, I think I need to quit, it was very uncharacteristic. And he even said that it's not like you, you know, what do you want to quit? And I said, I can't do it. And these words have stuck with me forever, and it has become my mantra. And to your point, I'm now passing that on to these young men because that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, football aside, it's great. Love the sport. Think it's the greatest sport out there. I think it's one of the few sports that forces that toughness and that grit out of somebody, regardless of, you know, who they are. It forces that. But we're trying to raise men, especially in a time where we need high character men to lead and to be examples in the community. And one of the things that McCune told me in that conversation was, you know, is it that you can't or you won't? I was like, well, I don't think I can. And he goes, no. You don't want to because it's going to be hard. And man, here I am. I lost my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
I'm depressed. I already had it in my mind I was going to quit. Didn't even tell my parents nothing. It was on me. Stress was getting to me. And he looked at me and he said, take some time off. Take the next 2 weeks and then come back and talk to me. So I took about 2 weeks off, and sure enough, man, dude, I missed it. You know, being in the stands and everything, and it didn't feel the same. And so after 2 weeks, I went back, and he looked at me and he goes, "You ready?" And I smiled and I said, "Yeah, coach." And he goes, "Well, I want you to remember this. When it gets tough and you feel like you can't, you need to tell yourself, I can, I will, and I must." That was over 25 years ago, my dude. And that is how I pump the boys up before we go out. Coach, our head JV coach, Marquez, he's a product of the program, young man in his early 20s, getting his teaching credential and all that other stuff. Good guy. I'll coach for that guy anywhere he goes. He calls me up. You know, he's one of those dudes. But he has leaned into me because now I'm the one with the gray whiskers. You know, I'm the triple OG of the bunch. And so he allows me the opportunity to pump these boys up. And, dude, we scream that, you know, and we get louder and louder and louder until we end on Cougar Pride. And we just go out there, and these boys are on fire.
Yeah.
And just to have that in the back of your mind when things start going tough, you know, life slaps you in the face. You know, you lose a job, you lose the loved one, you know, you get divorced, you know, whatever it is, I can, I will, and I must. And 9 times out of 10, if you just focus on that, it ain't going to be easy. It's not like a magic wand or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but you can get through it. And, you know, to be able to come back to the program that, in my eyes, saved me from walking down a dark path with all my coaches and the teachers that were there that poured into me. Man, you know, I'd be nuts not to give back. You know, it'd be like tremendously selfish not to. And so I'm just, you know, very grateful to Coach Garcia because, man, I'll tell you what, I thought I knew football. I'll be real honest with you. When I went in there, I had a good resume, and I'm like, yeah, I've done this, I've done that. But, man, if you can just keep the mindset of being a student of life, not just the game, but a student of life, man, I've learned so much in 5 years from not only Garcia but that staff, even Coach Aiden Marquez, you know, the young 20-year-old.
Yeah,
brilliant mind, brilliant offensive mind, and I really think that he's going to go on and do something, you know, and I hope he stays with the, you know, very selfishly, I'm like, man, I hope he goes in there, they hire you, and, you know, they make you the head coach at some time, you know. But we all know that sometimes we got to grow. We got to leave home. I left home, right? I didn't ever expect to come back. And
right.
Boom, here I am. Friday night lights again at my alma mater, smiling, looking in the stand, seeing my family, man. It's a good thing.
Under the lights at Larrabee Stadium. Oh.
Yes.
They had just built, I believe they had just built the locker room my junior year. that brand new locker room. They had just opened it up, and I was one of the few people that got to like experience it for the first time. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is awesome!"
Right.
Yeah, because I played for freshman, sophomore, and junior year,
Okay.
and actually, I believe I actually played with Garcia's son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in JV. I think I played with Garcia's son. I want to say I did. I forgot his name, but I'm pretty sure I did. And yeah, it's just there's something when you're underneath the lights
Yeah.
at that big of a stadium and you're just out there doing what you've been technically practicing for. And another thing that I always remember hearing, I forgot which coach said this, but it's like, you don't practice to make it perfectly. It's perfect practice makes it perfect.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things where it's like, it's not about just like doing it repetitively. It's like doing it repetitively good
Right.
to when that moment comes and that tackle needs to be made. It's not a, oh, there's a 50% chance that you're going to hit him or 70%. No, it's 100% chance you're going to make that tackle or stop the play.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Well, and then, that stadium just in itself, all the history there, we make sure that all the boys know that, hey, do you realize who has played on this field?
mm-hmm.
And we give them a little history lesson like, hey, this used to be Ventura College. And they're like, no way. And I go, well, Cabrillo Middle School used to be Ventura High. And they're like, get out of here. And I go, well, look at the way they're built.
Yeah.
Out of all the middle schools in Ventura, Cabrillo's the largest. Why do you think that is? They're like, man, we didn't know that. And it's like, yeah, this stadium right here holds so much history. The people, the coaching, even different events, right? Having they had Big Bad Voodoo Daddy play there, one time. Just things like that. I tell them, you can go anywhere in Ventura County. Some of these places that are being built, beautiful stadiums, like no shade or anything like that. But they ain't Larrabee Stadium, man.
They're not.
And it's like our own little Rose Bowl.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's like the granddaddy of them all here. And the only other one that my understanding is just as old, if not older, is
Santa Barbara?
Santa Paula.
Oh, Santa Paula.
Yeah, here locally. But then, they have the pit. In Santa Barbara. I tell everybody, well, they copied us, man.
Yeah, they pretty much, it's the same concept, just a little bit newer.
Which that's a great stadium.
Yeah, it's
too,
a cool stadium.
It's got a lot of history too, but we're just, like I said, man, we're too blessed to be stressed. And, we woke up today and, being able to, coming in here not knowing like what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And stuff, talking about one of my favorite things right now. So.
And you guys brought the trophy back.
We brought the trophy back. Yeah.
I feel like I was like lucky in time because it was during the time that we did bring the trophy back.
Yeah.
And for a lot of the people that don't know, can you explain them what the Suzanne Brown?
Suzanne Brown Trophy. It's gosh, I don't even know how long it's been going on, but basically it was a teacher, right, and then had students in the program and lived kind of I believe worked. And forgive me if I butcher that. This is years.
Yeah, long time ago.
My understanding is she had ties with both of the programs.
Yeah.
Being a teacher and then having kids and stuff, and she passed away, and it just became the crosstown rivalry trophy.
Yeah.
Because she left an impact on both programs,
schools,
right? So to be able to bring that back, I myself, I told the kids, hey, back in '96, man, that's the last time I saw that trophy. Like, we held it, I held it, but I didn't earn it. At that time, I was just a wee little freshman, and we, moved up for playoffs and all that stuff, and pretty much whenever. For those of you listening, if you're on freshman and JV, and if you ever get asked to move up to varsity, remember you're going to be a punching bag.
Seriously.
And that's
lowest man on the totem pole.
Yeah, we went up there, and so I was stoked at the time, but it wasn't until I became an adult where I realized, well, wait a minute, I actually didn't earn that trophy. It was, the senior class. And so back in 2023, I think is when we had won it outright, and brought it back. I was on the varsity staff at that time, and man, I'll tell you what, like, I didn't think I was going to be overwhelmed with emotion, but all of a sudden I was, because it was like, I never thought I would have the opportunity for redemption, in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
And in my junior and senior year, it was like, we were super close, but nothing happened. And my senior year, like I said, I quit for a little bit and everything, had to work my way back up. One of my best friends in the whole world ended up taking my spot, Louis Jimenez. I brought him in. He's now a coach.
Oh, okay.
And, we had a freshman linebacker, and his name was Richie Martinez. This guy was built like a freaking human cannonball, strong as an ox. I mean, he had his chest was a barrel, like no joke. This guy, just was stout. And I remember like 30 seconds taken away. That field was shared not only by us in Buena, but also St. Bonaventure and Ventura College at the time. So the
Right.
field was just racked. And I remember the clock was running out. Coach, was looking at people to put in. He dead looked me in the eyes and just looked the other way. I didn't even get, any real playing time. I was on special teams, but other than that, I didn't get some playing time. And I remember Richie looking at us saying, "Hey, man, sorry I failed you guys." And that whole memory and conversation, knowing that was my senior year, couldn't even contribute, and a freshman was apologizing, that left an imprint. And I share that every year with the boys to motivate them that, man, tomorrow's not promised. If you're here at practice today, this is all you got. Tomorrow you may not wake up. You never know, right? And they look at me like, "Dang, Coach, why you wish that on me?" And I'm like, "No, I ain't wishing that on anybody.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you the truth. If all we have is today, then make the best out of today, regardless of what it is. If it's your homework, if it's being with your family, whatever it is that you're doing, just be the best that you can. Be kind, be understanding, and then you won't have regrets, right? No regrets, yeah. And so I told him, I said, as an adult, I would watch the games, and man, dude, I would talk to my buddies, and I never thought I'd be like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. Man, back in my day, I was so good, and
Give me that steak. I want
right,
the launches it.
yeah.
Perfect spiral.
Yeah, dude. And talking with my friends and stuff. And then fast forward to now walking on that field as a coach. Man, you don't know what the good Lord has in store for you. You know what I mean? And sometimes some of those regrets that you may have, sometimes you get a second chance. And if you get a second chance, man, I'll tell you what, don't
give it up.
Don't let it go wayward. So yeah, man, just grasp it and do your best to honor that second chance. So yeah,
there's something so special for me for that that trophy, because even though a lot of people don't know this, but Ventura High School and Buena High School, they're across town. And it's a big rivalry. Like, we're talking about Friday Night Lights. Like, this is something you'd probably see like in a movie in Texas, like that type of big deal where it's like it's a big rivalry. And it's crazy because during the time that I was playing football, I played football for 3 years, and leading up to it, we had lost every single year until my senior year, or not my senior year, my junior year, which I was in varsity for the first time. And the thing that happened was, it was almost like, in my eyes, it was almost like biblical, because it was like they had stolen the trophy. And it's like the basic 80s movies, the guy stole your girlfriend, and at the end, it's like, we robbed it back from them. And it was like by like inches, not by yards, not by like a major amount of points. It was just that close. We wouldn't have come out. We were like the underdogs at the time. So the fact that we went through at their home stadium and just took it back from them. It was funny because there's I believe there was a video out there somewhere where the entire team got in a fight on the field because we rushed the field to go take the trophy back because it was on their side.
Yeah.
So we rushed the field. We got chewed out very badly by all our coaches the following Monday. A lot of Disneylands, but for the most part, we went out there and we took our trophy back, and it was just like, it was something out of a movie, because it's like everybody rushed the field to go get that trophy, and they got mad. So then it triggered like this massive little fight on their home field. So it's like, and then towards the end, we got chewed out, but it was so like historical in my eyes. Yeah.
And it's just, there's so much great things that come out of playing, on a team, you know, not just football, but just, you know, on a team, and being able to learn how to cooperate, and just having all those different personalities, you know, and having different assignments and everything like that. You know, now that, you know, I've earned my grays, and I'm on this side of life, I tell you what, I don't know how I would have gotten through a lot of the things in life, some of the curveballs that were thrown my way, some of, you know, the peaks and valleys, had it not been those lessons that I learned in team sports, and specifically, you know, football.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, when people start, you know, discussing, oh, you know, that's a barbaric sport, and, you know, we need to do away with it and all this other stuff, you know, majority of the time, one of two things happen to that person. One, they had an extremely bad experience,
Yeah.
right? And then they're speaking from that vantage point, or they just don't get it. And unless you have been on a team, you'll never get it.
Mm-hmm.
You won't. And so being able to help mold these young men and give them a quality characteristics, accountability, being honorable, you know, iron sharpens iron, being there for your brother, you know, things like that go unseen, because everybody, all they see is just the touchdown, right? They see the tackles and everything like that. They see these guys are modern day gladiators, right? Everybody likes to cheer for them as a player. But man, I'll tell you what, a bunch of our kids, they are honor students, high academic, high character athletes, sitting at the front of class, volunteering at different events. And like I said, it's just a whole culture change, that you can be rough and tough and be able to handle business, but at the same time, you can also be empathetic and caring for your community. And I know that came from playing in sports, man.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah, definitely. I think the way that they still are doing the program, even back in the day with me, it was you're building a character that is honorable, loyal, responsible. I mean, even to the standards, like you don't have the very minimum 3.0 average, you're not playing.
Yeah.
If you're not there doing your homework before practice with the entire team, you're not playing. If you're not working together as a team, you're not playing.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is an honor to be able to put on the helmet, put on the pads, put on the jersey. One of the biggest things that I enjoyed the most is the day before a game, going to school with your helmet, with your jersey. And people are like, okay, well, that makes sense. Like, that's why that person's always doing their homework. That's why they're like, their number one focus is, I gotta be this to be able to do that.
Right. Yeah.
And it creates like this standard, and like people see it, but people don't normally see it on the field. Sometimes some people are worried about certain injuries or stuff like that, where it's like, well, I saw someone back in my day break their arm, get a concussion, like brain damage. That's what they think. It's like, yeah, well, nowadays it's a lot harder for, like, safety equipment is a lot better. And either way, like, sometimes you need to go through tough things to get to that point.
Yeah.
One of the things that I remember from practice one time, I was literally on the field and I did not see this guy, so I got blindsided. And all I remember was I was in defensive line, so I was chasing after the quarterback. And I'm like, oh, I'm about to get him. I didn't see this guy. His, I don't know, it was like an offensive, maybe lineman. I didn't even remember seeing who it was. But all I just remember, I'm like, oh, I'm about to get him. Boom, sideswiped, blindsided. All I see is him, the target, and then grass.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I was like, playing afterwards, it was like, nothing hurt as much as that. And it was just like, I've gotten hit so hard, but nothing compares to that. So like this time when someone hits me and it hurts, but I can push forward, I don't know why it triggers like that memory. It's like, I've dealt with that.
Yeah.
So
it's like, but did you die?
Yeah,
right?
but did you die?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I was close to dying that time, but
it felt like it.
It felt like it, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's funny because we're talking about this almost like teamwork, brotherhood environment. And then in a weird way, you slowly transitioned into something like that going
Yeah.
into your career wise.
Yeah.
So let's jump into that a little bit.
Sure. Well, I was one of those all-American kids in high school, and during that time, there was a major push. I remember there being discussions that the U.S. wasn't producing enough engineers and scholars, essentially. And so at that time, it was 4-year colleges were really pushed. And if you weren't going into a 4-year, then you were going into the military or the world needs ditch diggers, right? Like straight up, that's what my counselor, I still remember his name, and I don't want to put him on blast because he did a lot of good, you know, but I remember, that whole, the world needs ditch diggers. And I was like, man, dude, that's kind of messed up. Like,
that's all you see.
Yeah. But I got really good grades, the whole 9 yards, and I took summer school so that my senior year it came around. Dude, I was doing electives, student, ASB, all this stuff. I had a great senior year. Had to take economics, and then had to take like English, and those were like my only core classes. I was taking auto shop. I took, and so I was having a good year. Well, come to find out, because there was such a huge demand for students to go to a 4-year university, that even though I was like right below a 4.0, I had all these accolades, I was a part of all these programs, none of the UC or Cal State schools accepted me. And my parents were like, WTF, bro? Like, we thought that you had this locked down. And I'm like, I thought I did too. So then I went and I visited my counselor, and he goes, well, young man, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, and you didn't challenge yourself enough your senior year to set yourself apart from everybody else. And I dead looked him in the eye and I go, but you're my counselor. You're the one that told me that this was all gravy, and now it isn't, right? So dude, I was completely disappointed. And I remember my mom, she picked me up from school one day, and I didn't know why. I was going to go home with my, she's like, I want to pick you up. I'm like, okay. So she picks me up, and she just beaming, bro. Like, okay, I didn't know anything, but she was just happy and just peppy, and and I'm like, cool, like whatever, And she goes, I have something for you. And she handed me a package, and it wasn't just a regular envelope. All the universities just sent an envelope.
Right.
And it was like, you suck, you're not coming to our school. And so now I had this packet, and I'm like, dude, where's this from? Hawaii Pacific University on Oahu. And I was accepted. And she was like, mijo, we'll do whatever it is we have to. I'll take, 2 to 3 jobs. And I was essentially the first out of my family to be able to go on to a 4-year university. And unfortunately, that never panned out, and I floundered my opportunity, and, was here, but ended up putting my tail between my legs, and came home and stuff like that, and ended up going to VC, which, hey, if anybody's out there going to VC, I'll tell you what, that should have been my plan A. If you're going to visions of grandeur to go to college, please go to one of our JCs, whether it's Ventura, Oxnard, or Moore Park. Man, getting the
they still have the Ventura Promise where they pay for the first 2 years.
It is just ridiculous, man. So it's like if you're going down that path, please go down that path. There's so many resources, but during that time there weren't those resources. And so I was at VC, and I was taking general classes and stuff, and there was no joy. Didn't have any joy. I knew I had to do something, and I went to go speak to my counselor. And I saw a pamphlet that said, earn while you learn. The only thing that I knew at that time, earning while you learned, were the armed forces, because they would give you the GI Bill or whatever. Right. So as I was waiting, I'm like, whatever, I'm going to go ahead and read this. And it was about the electrical apprenticeship program here in Ventura County. And I go, wait a minute. My pops, my stepdad, that's my pops, that guy came around and took us in, and I love him, like my papa, you know, and he's an electrician by trade and went through the apprenticeship program, and his uncle was an electrician by trade, went through the apprenticeship program. So I already knew kind of about it. So then when I went and talked to my counselor, I go, hey, can you tell me about this program? And she goes, well, no, that program doesn't exist anymore. And she snatched the pamphlet out of my hand and threw it in the trash. And I go, does the program not exist anymore? Because I know my dad's an electrician. And she goes, oh, well, we don't have it here anymore. They have their own, thing. And you're not on that path. Let's talk about your classes. And I was like, all right. So when I was a senior, I allowed my counselor to dictate my life. Now I'm 18 years old. I know everything, right? 18 years old. I know everything. And I reached over and I picked up that pamphlet out of the garbage can, and I looked at her and I said, well, you know what? I'm actually going to look into this. I appreciate you. She goes, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'm going to look into this before I start changing my classes. And I already knew where to go and how to sign up and stuff. And one of the good things that comes out of being, a stepson to somebody that's been a part of something is that we have different last names and we don't look like each other. So I was able to kind of fly under the radar, ended up passing, and what they do is they take your application, and then if, you do all that stuff, right, they invite you back for an aptitude test. Yeah. And it's a math test and a written test, reading, writing, and comprehension. If you pass that, you come back for an interview. So I had passed all that, and then I came back for the interview, and at that time, my pops had moved up into the ranks to become our business manager of our local IBW 952, the electricians local in Ventura.
Oh, okay.
So he was the tippy-top dude, and I didn't want to be associated with him or, or anything. And I remember he had called me and was like, dude, how come you didn't tell me that you were going to do this? I could have given you some pointers. I could have saved you some time. And I'm like, man, I wanted to do this on my own. And so, long story short, I went through the apprenticeship program, and I'm very grateful. I graduated with a bunch of really great guys that I'm still friends with. They're my brothers, right? And I worked throughout Ventura County, different contractors around here. Shout out to Coleman Pacific. Brian Coleman in Moore Park took me under his wing, taught me everything that he could about being a foreman and a project manager and an estimator, like just completely poured into me. Another gentleman by the name of Ray Vasquez, who is here in Oxnard, he decided to pull me under his wing and teach me about control work, basically the brains of operations and things like that. And, ended up hooking up with Alan Fletcher from Oilfield Electric and went and worked the oil leases for 10 years. So it's that whole brotherhood that you're talking about, it was built into the apprenticeship program. And after you finished it, it stays. And we really lean into that. Iron sharpens iron. If I'm going to move up and if I'm eating, you're going to move up with me. You're going to eat just as good. And we're going to keep getting better. And a couple years back in 2019, one of my greatest mentors, who I called Unc, that was my uncle. He was best friends with my pops and knew me since I was like 10 years old. I'm 44 now, so do the math, knew me a long time.
Right.
He was elected as the executive secretary treasurer of the Tri-Counties Building and Construction Trades Council of San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. And what that is it is like the union of unions of all the trades that are out here. So when you think of construction trades, you think of electricians, plumbers, pipe fitters, iron workers, cement masons, things like that. They were the union of unions, and he was their leader. And unfortunately, in 2019, he passed and just left a tremendous hole, not only in the council, in the industry, but just in life itself. His name was Tony Skinner, and he was one of the founding members that founded Ace Charter High School.
Really?
In Camarillo, the architecture, construction, and engineering school. That was his baby. And when he left this earth, he left just a lot of broken hearts. And I'm grateful to my then, at that time, my business manager, Jeff Bodie, of the IBEW. I was still, in the IBEW, and I was a project manager and stuff. He called me up and he's like, hey, I think this would be a good fit for you. Just look into it. I can't go into that. That's like politics. Like, nah, it's actually kind of like middle management if you think about it, So, I prayed over it with my family, and I asked for, their counsel, and decided, hey, let me go in. And it was essentially to go in to finish his tenure, right? He had like 6 months left on his election, you know, like that he had to fulfill. And so I was like, yeah, I can do this for 6 months, no problem. And then we'll have an election and see what happens then. And, you know, thankfully I got elected, and I've been in this position now close to 5 years. I was just reelected in June. And it's crazy. Like when I first started the apprenticeship program, I was actually ashamed. I'm not going to lie. I was ashamed of it because I was supposed to be a college graduate. And at that time, my generation, we were made to believe that if you didn't go to college, that you were a shoulda, coulda, woulda. And so in my mind, I was a shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I was like 2 years into the apprenticeship, and I was working odd jobs, you know, to kind of make ends meet. And one of those jobs, I was a bouncer at the sewer in Ventura, the San Sui's, you know, the sewer right across the street from Ventura Theater. And some of my classmates started to come in, and some of my teachers. And every time I I didn't want to see or talk to anybody, because then I would have to tell them that, yeah, I dropped out of college and now I'm just an electrician, right? Well, thankfully, I was just an electrician, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have all this opportunity that was given to me. And what was my plan Q, like in all reality, right, should have been my plan A.
Right.
And, you know, I just didn't grasp onto the fact that, hey, let's see, they want to give you a $25,000 scholarship to learn about the trade. You're going to go to night school. They're going to put you to work. You're going to earn while you learn. You're going to graduate with zero debt. You're going to have a skill that nobody can take away from you. You're going to get 60 transferable units at the very end of it if you want to go back to college. Mm-hmm. What other industry does that? You know, in order to receive the GI Bill, you have to essentially sign your life away
for a
minimum
of 4 years.
Literally, like you don't know if you're going to come back and be able to use that bill. If it goes down, then you got to go, right?
Right.
And so I was like, man, and so, you know, just thinking of all those steps, everything that I experienced up until that point, unfortunately, at a young age, as a young adult, I didn't see that as a blessing. And so I would lie. You know, when people would come in, you know, I'm getting my electrical engineering degree. Because it didn't, again, right? Pride is it's a terrible thing, bro. Like, yeah. You know, and it's something that as, you know, young men, you know, we grow up and we're told, you know, one of the things we were talking about are cougar pride, right? We got cougar pride, and to this day, man, we bleed black and gold. And, you know, that's good, right? But when you start becoming so prideful that you're ashamed of certain aspects of your life or people or whatever, just because you can't get past it, man, you're robbing yourself of feeling that fulfillment. And that's what I was doing. And right around my third year, I was, it's called 75 and stay alive. If you got 75%, you're able to pass, right? Okay. And one of my biggest mentors, Steve Earhart, he is now the apprenticeship coordinator for our apprenticeship. So he was a teacher, and now he's the grand poobah of our apprenticeship program. I remember my third year, he took me aside and goes, you know what, man, you ain't meeting your potential, bro. I know you're better than what you are. You're not doing any of the homework. You're getting B's on the tests, and your average is now a C because you ain't doing your homework. Do your stuff, man. Do your stuff. Just do it. And, you know, if it wasn't for that wake-up call, I probably would have dropped out and floundered, right? But again, iron sharpens iron. And I bring all that up because that is what allowed me to feel like I can do this job that I'm in now. Mm-hmm. Because essentially what it is, being the rep for all of the building trades, I'm the face. So I go to city council meetings, county supervisor meetings, school board meetings. I go to career days, just all this stuff. And I'm essentially like a lobbyist. Mm-hmm. And I go and I talk to these people about local hire provisions. Hey, if we're going to build here, we're going to use taxpayer dollars. let's use our local people. I talk about things like that are called project labor agreements and a community workforce agreements. A project labor agreement is just a one project agreement that makes sure that, again, if they're going to be using tax dollar, any public works, that they utilize local hire. And so we put them in touch with all the local trades. We come up with a number like, okay, at a minimum, let's try to get this many people. And a community workforce agreement, it's for multiple projects, right? Mm-hmm. And so again, I'm like a lobbyist, and I just keep thinking to myself, I'm sitting here with a Senator Monique Limon, Congressman Salud Carbajal, Assemblymember Steve Bennett, Jackie Irwin, and I'm just another Sema from Colonia. How the heck did I get here, man? And just talking to some of the people I grew up with, and they're like, bro, like even some of my classmates are like, dude, like all you did was just party during your apprenticeship, and now look at you, like they have pride and everything, right? And it's just, it was one of those things that, when my mentors came to me and said, dude, you should do this. Man, okay. Like, I'm not, I guess I can, I'm comfortable over here, as a project manager, you get bonuses and all this other stuff. Here, oh, well, I'm going to be salary and I'm going to have to work all these odd hours, and which it's crazy, man. There's some days I got 16-hour days. There's other days where, I can get away with just a regular 8-hour day. But the things that we do for people, the working class, the middle class, which has been decimated, right? There's essentially, the lower class and the upper class. There is no middle class. The position that I'm in affords me the opportunity to be able to help my community and be able to afford them opportunities for head of household income careers. Because I don't know about you, man, like, here, those of you that are joining us for this podcast today, Brother Joey's got a lovely home, beautiful home, good on you for that. Most people don't. And they don't know where to start. Like, oh man, I was formerly incarcerated. I just been working at McDonald's. Like, how do I get out of this? And so we as the trades are like the best kept secret out there. We Definitely. Have been around, and people go, oh, well, it's a lesser than, people still have this.
Like if you were to mention, like how you were saying that you were afraid to say like electrician, because then they were going to be thinking like, oh, so you're replacing light bulbs all day?
Yeah.
It's like, that's not it.
Right. And even then, if I had to go replace light bulbs, which I actually was assigned that one time over at Point Magoo, the naval base out here. Hey man, I don't know anywhere else that'll pay you total package like close to $80 an hour at that time. To change out light bulbs. The prevailing
wage, huh?
Yeah, for changing light bulbs. So hey, you can go ahead and that's kind of what it took. It almost took like realizing, well, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that I don't have any debt from this education, and yet I can do everything that an engineer can. I can calculate what type of conductors to run for a certain service of a house, or I have to calculate, what size transform. We learn that. The apprenticeship teaches that. And in a roundabout way, it's producing functioning installation engineers. So what I mean by that is we can do everything an engineer can, but we can also install it.
Yeah.
An engineer can install it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you start looking at the differences in your W-2s at the end of the year, and we also make more than an engineer. And not only that, an engineer gets paid basically to design that project, and then hopefully their firm gets picked up for the remainder of that project so they can offer support. But they're on a contract.
Right.
When that contract runs out, that money runs out. Us, we're there for the whole job.
Right.
And as an electrician, I tell everybody, if you want to be an electrician, that's like being part of SWAT. It's like special forces. We're there at the very beginning, and we're the last ones to leave.
It's true.
And again, all this came from one pamphlet that was left that I wasn't supposed to pick up, that my counselor told me I wasn't supposed to get into. Had I listened to her, I don't know where I would be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I started thinking about that of how much I pushed against it. No, I'm better than this. I'm better than being in the construction trades. And it's like, you know what? You ain't better than anything, bro. You know, these people that are getting up 4 a.m. to be out the door by 5,
Mm-hmm.
to be at the job by 6, to be at the gang box ready to go by 6:30. And you're still sleeping, and they've already gotten a quarter of their day done.
Kind of like the football thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's these same people that once they're done, there are coaches. They're sitting next to us in the pews at church.
Mm-hmm.
They're volunteering with the Boys and Girl Scouts and all this stuff. They are members, pillars of our community that people don't realize that they're making all this sacrifice in the morning and during the day to put food on the table. That in the end, we're going to be weighed and measured by our character and by what we've done and given back. Not all the accolades, man. Like, in all honesty, accolades are great. Awards are great, right? You know, we all like awards. I like awards,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But does that define you? Right? Is that all you are? You know, you just all these awards. And in the trades, in my opinion, just like organized sports, will push you past your limit. And you're either going to say to yourself, I can, I will, I must, or you're going to walk up with your tail between your legs to your foreman and go, you know what, this is a little out of my league. I need to go back to the hall. And the thing about our trades, we call it skilled and trained labor. And it's true. A lot of our apprenticeships, you know, are anywhere between 3 to 5 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
2 nights a week, usually from like 5 to 8. And like I said, these guys have been up since 4 a.m. They have maybe 2 hours before they have to be to class. I remember grabbing some food and taking a nap. And then waking up in my car all crusty. I can smell myself. Grab my books. Let's go to school. There's something to say about an individual that can go and bust their butt for a 10 and 12-hour day and still go to class and still wake up the next morning and produce. That is a high caliber person. Okay. Now, no disrespect to any of the college individuals that are out there, but I myself have 4 adult kids right now that are all in college, all different levels. Their day don't start at 5 a.m.
No, not the same as yours.
And they get to do classes online. And not only that, if they're having issues, right, and they just really don't get it, they can go and they could apply for these different pathways that'll give them tutoring, or instead of having a 10-page assignment, they only have to have a 2-page assignment. There's all these buffers and bumpers that have been created that, in my opinion, although it allows everybody to participate, in all reality, it allows everybody to participate, in my opinion, it's a disservice to that person, because then when they graduate and they go out into the workforce, there's no accommodations like that.
Mm-hmm.
You either do or you don't. You either come in and you work when you're supposed to, or you don't. You can't start your day and then 2 hours later go, you know what, this isn't going to work for me. Can you please provide me with these accommodations so that I can do my task? Because, you know, making this guacamole over at Chipotle is really hard. You know, and yeah. I'm not trying to throw shade or anything. I love guacamole from Chipotle. Like,
it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. And I'm not throwing shade at anybody that perhaps that's them, and if you're listening to this and you're like, man, this guy's kind of an a-hole for saying that, and you're getting in your feels, good. Because I'm just being honest. And if you take a look at our workforce right now, we're at a detriment, my friend. We have a total of 3 people retiring for every 1 person coming into the trades. So if you do the math, it doesn't add up. We are not producing enough people to take over these roles, to keep industry going, to keep our economy going. And right now, we all need our economy to flip the other way. That when you start thinking that, man, how are we going to replace these people? Well, now you're talking about AI. We're talking about different types of visas to bring people over to be able to work and stuff like that. Why? Because as a society, we have kind of put our nose up at hard work. Mm-hmm. Kind of put our nose up. There's no other way of saying it. Just my nose is in the air. Oop, I am too good for this. The same way Joshua was thinking when he was 18, 19 years old. I am too good for this. I'll tell you what. Now that I'm on this side of things, we have the opportunity to put on what's called a pre-apprenticeship program. Mm-hmm. And what it is it is an exploratory course for anybody living in Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo counties. You got to be 18 and over. It's 100% free. It's through a grant from the California Workforce Development Board and the State Building Trades of California. And you just got to be 18 and be able to work here in the U.S., and you can take this. It's a 12-week class, 2 nights a week, and every other weekend we go and visit an apprenticeship or we go to a working job site. We do some hands-on and stuff like that. But it helps those that are housing displaced, veterans, those that are second chancers, those that are in recovery and stuff. And it gives them just a little taste of the trades and enough knowledge to be able to apply and try to move forward. And we stay lockstep with them, either until they get into a fully accredited apprenticeship program, or they go into the workforce, or they go to academia, mm-hmm. regardless. But we stay with them. And we have people that are engineers that have been laid off and are now going on like almost 2 years. They can't find anything. And they're in their late 40s. And I start listening to their story about how they were with one company 15 years. They were almost there, and then boom, they were laid off. People with degrees. Man, when I went to school, I thought this computer science degree was going to be something, and now the AI's here, man. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Got to go back to school nowadays to get a master's.
Yeah, so now we have these 30-somethings to like even 50 that thought that they had the proper path. They didn't have somebody like me or this program that was showing them an alternative. Yeah, you can go ahead and do that. But take a look at this alternative. It's greater than, it's not lesser than. Because if we do the math, if you're going to go to school to get your degree, 4 to 5 years, right? Mm-hmm. Right? To get your bachelor's. Minimum, right?
That's if you don't slack off.
That's if you don't slack off. You can be a super senior, right? Like 6, 7 years. But, hey, and if you're out there and it took you 6 to 7 years to get your degree, hey, that'll way to finish. Mm-hmm. Good on you. No shade or nothing. But if you think about it, that's how long it takes. Then you have to work a job, right? If you're one of those ones that gets a scholarship, then cool. But not everything is paid for. Your funny money, going to the movies, all that other stuff, you got to get some doo-doo job, right? So they go and they work, they're a barista or they're a server or this and that, and they're going to school. They're making peanuts on the dollar.
And racking up student loans.
And then they graduate, they get that paper, and they're like, yes, I can go to work. Well, time out. You don't have any experience. Mm-hmm. So now you technically have to go and do an internship. Oh, really? Yeah, you do.
Got to get that experience.
Okay, well, that's cool. I'll go work for that company. That's a great company. How much am I going to make? Oh, my dude. As an intern, you get paid minimum wage. Whoa, wait a minute. I was working as a barista and I was getting tips. I was making minimum wage plus tips. I was making a minimum of like $25 an hour on average. Now I got to make only $16 an hour. Like, that don't sound right.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school for 4 to 5 years to get my degree. You don't know how hard I worked on it. And then that employer, they'll look at you and go, okay, next.
Mm-hmm. There's a list of people waiting.
And then they go home. They don't know what they did wrong. And then they open up a bill in the mail. They owe, $1,500 that month for their student loans or whatever. Anywhere between $500 to $1,500 a month, depending on what your student loan is. And that person feels defeated.
Mm-hmm.
And they start questioning themselves and their choices. And man, was this the right thing to do?
My counselor lied to me.
Right. And then they start thinking, well, how did I get here? And they start going back, and just like Joshua did, man, I blame my counselor. My counselor's the one, But in a roundabout way, if it wasn't for that counselor, I wouldn't be here.
True.
So it's not necessarily on the counselors. It's not on the teachers. It's on all of us.
Mm-hmm.
It starts at home, and I know today there's a lack of like the family unit. There's a lot of single family homes. There's a lot of homes that are blended. I have a blended family myself. I come from a blended family. But then there's also those households that they don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the young person that's there in their 20s is living with their abuelita, and they're the breadwinner. And abuelita put up her retirement so that, Junior can go and he can do this and that. And so he's that super senior because he's working a 9-to-5 job, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents, and then going to night school and all this stuff. And when I meet Junior, I tell him, hey, man, God bless you for doing what you did. I mean, good on you. But do you realize it didn't have to be that hard? Well, what do you mean? And then I start telling them about the trades, and they look at me like I just broke their heart, that they realize that, dang, there was another way. I could have gotten there a lot sooner, And it just starts with removing that stigma of the construction trades, inviting our youth, elementary and middle school kids to visit a project, to go. Like, you remember Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Remember when he would go and visit like a textile plant or anything like that? Dude, I remember being a kid going, wow, that looks amazing. I want to go there.
Switch out his shoes real quick and then go.
Yeah, put on a different colored sweater and get out there and, do your thing. Yeah. But, are we still doing that? I don't think so, and I have kids that range from, their mid-20s all the way down to 12-year-olds, right? So I have the whole spectrum.
Right.
I got full functioning adults, college students, high school students, middle school students, and I have nieces and nephews that I'm very involved in. They're elementary. So I get to see what's going on, and I ask their parents questions, and then I go to some of these parent meetings, and I'm like, wait a minute, y'all are still doing some of the stuff that used to happen, and that's a disservice to the kids. Mm-hmm. Because then, you have kids that they do grow up in those environments that, they are even eating government cheese. They have to wait for that EBT card to be filled. They don't get to go out and eat at certain places because we have that at home, right? They don't get that. Christmas is usually pretty tight. And so these kids, they got to look around the world and they have to see everybody doing better than them. And they start judging their parents, not knowing that their parents are doing the best with what they were given and what they were told and how they learned. That it's essentially breaking that generational sin, per se, for a lack of a better term. And that young child sees that and decides for themselves, I want better. So I'm going to study harder. I'm going to get good grades. I'm going to go to college. Yeah, but mijo, look, you can do that. And you can be something tremendous in this world. But let me tell you about the construction trades. You want to be a scientist? Well, let me tell you about construction trade scientists. Did you know that the operating engineers, they have what's called a soils and compaction tester, which essentially is a scientist. They go out, they test the soil, they do all these geo analysis and stuff like that. They write up these reports. They're scientists.
Mm-hmm.
We have individuals that are in the arts. They want to go off, they want to do arts and metalworking and stuff. Well, did you know that if you join the iron workers or the pipe fitters or the sheet metal workers that you would learn welding, and you can take some of the scrap metal from a project, turn them into a piece of artwork and sell it for $5,000, and you don't have your degree? So these are things that people don't know. And so it's my job. One of the things that I do
to bring that awareness.
Yeah. And to go tell it on the mountain, man. And you know, whoever will listen, cool. If you don't want to listen to me, then hey, go with God. It's all good, man. You know, we need academia. We need it. And some people, you know, I tell them, hey, don't get it twisted. I am not anti, you know, college or university. I am anti lack of opportunity.
Lack of options.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's put it all out there for the kids. Let's get the armed forces. God bless them, which, hey, I know we just had Veterans Day not too long ago. God bless the veterans out there. Thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be sitting here today on a podcast, right? In a nice home, you know, with no mortars going off around us. So, hey, veteranos out there, God bless you. Thank you for your service. But, you know, it's something needs to change. And if we don't get out there and we don't actively tell people and grab people and bring them along, that change is not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And so here in Ventura County, we're very fortunate that we have a lot of really good forward-thinking leaders. You know, some of those leaders, I talked to our Senator, you know, Monique Limon, you know, Congressman Salud Carbajal, Assemblymember Steve Bennett, Jackie Irwin. You know, I know I'm leaving out, you know, a few here. You know, Vianney Lopez, our supervisor, you know, Jeff Gorell, you know. We're very fortunate in Ventura County because, man, we have so many different industries here that people don't know about. Everybody knows about oil and gas, right? That's what Ventura County was founded on. But you have the biopharmaceuticals, like, you know, Amgen and Takeda. You have different manufacturing plants like Procter & Gamble and New Indy Paper Plant. You have all the municipalities, all the water districts and things like that.
Public Works and all.
Public Works. You have universities. You know, shoot, we have some of the top junior colleges here, some of the top universities around. And it just creates all this different type of industry that nobody really knows about and what goes into creating that. And if it wasn't for the leadership that we had, if it wasn't for the influence that the building trades had in finding these leaders and not only finding them, but staying lockstep with them, educating them on what the people are about and what they need, then we're just floundering around in water, man. We're just, you know, and so here in Ventura County, specifically, I feel like we're on the cusp of something great. You know, Amgen just decided that they're going to build this, you know, high-tech, you know, science building, you know, again, and so there's all this money that's going to be dumped there. You know,
a lot of trades that are going to be doing a lot of projects there.
You know, there's different industries coming in and out. You know, we have the offshore wind industry that right now is in talks with the Port of Hueneme. You know, the Port of Hueneme, man, having that here, my goodness, they employ so many people here in Ventura County that it's really easy to
and Point Mugu too.
And Point Mugu, you know, but you know, Hueneme, like people are sleeping. And they need to be woken up. They need to be told, look, if we don't train the future, this industry is going to leave. If this industry leaves, what do you think is going to happen to Ventura County? It's going to be desolate. If we don't provide these workers, and if we don't provide top quality training to be able to provide these workers, Amgen's going to go away. Paper plants will go away. All the opportunity is going to go away. And why? Because we were too good for it. We didn't want to get our hands dirty. I remind everybody, hey, dirty hands equals clean money.
It's true.
You ain't got to pay any of it back, man. You know. So, I know. I took a left at Albuquerque. I went, all the way over here.
No,
but
this is perfect.
Essentially, that is how I got here. That is what the building trades is all about. That's what we're doing, and we're just trying to create a different culture so that everybody knows that they can. They can.
That those options are out there.
The options are out there. And you know what? If you still don't know, go to the JC. Go to the junior. I mean, like I said, second to none. The Moore Park College, Oxnard College, Ventura, go up the coast, Santa Barbara, one of the most beautiful campuses around, Santa Barbara City College, Cuesta College up in San Luis Obispo, right? Mm-hmm. In the Tri-Counties, we have junior colleges that are just phenomenal that people out of state want to come to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
And it's here for you. And so if you don't know what you want to do, then I recommend, hey, go to the junior college for a year or two. Get a little job and give you some scratch. And then after a year, reevaluate yourself. Is the degree that you're going for, is it going to be equitable when you graduate? What is my return on investment? What is my ROI going to look like? If I invest my time, I invest this money, how am I going to get that in return, right? And within the first 2 years, you'll be able to ask your professor questions. You'll be able to ask your counselor. You'll be able to look, man, the internet, like back when I was going to school, we were learning HTTP //. We had to physically type it in.
www.
Here, man, all you got to do is,
/
you just say, hey, Siri, and then she'll, hook you up and stuff. But, do your homework. Do your homework so that you can make the best, most equitable decision for yourself rather than taking everybody else's direction as wholesale. Figure it out yourself. The quicker that you get on that plan, the quicker you're going to get to success. The quicker you get to success, the quicker you're going to be able to pass it on. Mm-hmm. And I'm 44 years old. My path was very windy, full of peaks and valleys. I graduated from my apprenticeship program in 2006. 2008, I became one of the youngest project managers in our local. Then, a couple more years, I became one of the youngest division managers in our local. I was working for Taft Electric, and shout out to Taft Electric and everybody out there, man. I love them.
They're a big company.
They are great. And Mr. Marsh, if you're listening to this, appreciate the opportunity, my friend. Everybody out there. But I didn't just do that on my own. I got post training from the apprenticeship program. So even though I had graduated, they still allow you opportunity to come back in and take postgraduate work to keep up with the training hours that you need in order to maintain your state certification. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for those classes, I would have never qualified for some of these jobs that I took. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, man, what other places out there? They teach you how to feed yourself, how to be successful, and they stay with you the entire time. I talk to people, they graduate, from Chico or whatever it is, and it's all good. They still have their friends and whatnot, but they ain't going back to that university and chopping it up with their counselor. They're not getting emails from their teachers or professors about opportunities and stuff. It's because it is a machine. It is made to produce scholars. It's not made to produce high character people. Mm-hmm. And there are some universities, they do focus on that. Don't get me wrong. I don't want somebody to reach out to me and go, well, you know what? I went to this school and it was great. And no, you're right. There's some places out there, but 9 times out of 10, they're just a factory. They're just pumping you out.
Just moving the cattle.
Here's your degree. Good luck. No placement, no nothing. No check-ins, no guidance, and here we are.
No experience either.
No experience. Now we have a 22-year-old with a bachelor's degree, with $100,000 worth of debt, that doesn't have a job, doesn't have a place, doesn't have a direction, and what do you think happens? They come back home. And then they come back home, and then they get depressed because they had to come back home and they're not using their degree. And then they go and they get a job somewhere, and then they stay there for years because they don't know what else to do. And so that's where the trade steps in. It's like, no, hold on. We're going to train you. We're going to give you a direction. We're going to find you employment. We're going to give you continuing education. And guess what, my dude? It's free. Like straight up, like zero debt. And here I graduated with 60 transferable units. I can take that to any four-year university that we have a partnership with. I can get my bachelor's in construction management if I want to. There's other offshoots there. And that is the cherry on top of everything, right? No debt. I have a skill that I still use. You know, if I know I need to make $100 and make ends meet or whatever, it's like, hey, Facebook family, who needs a light switch and fan installed? You know, I go, I'm able to make quick bread. You know, in 1 week of doing side jobs, I can make $1,000. And why? Because of that skill set that nobody can take away from me. So, man, I'll tell you what, dude, like.
And if you ever apply that to your own home too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, how many times have someone had to deal with light switch goes out, the garage light goes out, breaker trips?
Yeah.
How many people can truly go out there and fix it themselves without having to watch 60 different YouTube videos?
Sure. Like, and then get shocked. You get shocked a couple times.
Shocked a couple times, and then just call someone, call an electrician, and then boom.
But you know,
money.
It again, like unless we know, it's just going to be rinse and repeat, right? And that's where I think that as a society, as a community, we're failing our youth because we're trying to cookie cut everything, and then once we've cookie cutted everything, we're going to squeeze you all into this box, and if you don't fit into this box, well, you're going to have to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's important that regardless of what industry that you're in, whether you're in academia, you're in the trades, you're in the military forces, whatever it is that you're in, if you're in that position and you have the opportunity to pass on knowledge, pass it on. Be that positive for somebody. Because all too often people are afraid to share that knowledge because, if this guy gets better than me, he's going to take my job. Well, the unique thing about being in the trades is we encourage it. We want you to be better than me. I want you to take my job. Because if you take my job, that means I can move up, right? And so we have this undying allegiance to each other.
The brotherhood.
Exactly. And as family, right, when you have your family, nobody messes with family. If somebody comes and tries to school you or put you in check, ain't nobody coming in school in my family putting them in check. That's my job, right? And that's how we are in the trades. We will school each other. We will hold each other accountable. If we have some bad times, you know, I recently lost my mom. My brotherhood came together. They rallied around, and we wanted for nothing. And we had the support. We had people calling. We had people praying for us. They opened the hall for us. They provided this stuff for the family and everything. And they didn't have to. But it's not uncharacteristic of the trades, because that's just what I have shared. There are hundreds and thousands of other stories out there that share the same sentiment, that each one of them, I guarantee you, I can bring you for the next 1,000 days, okay? For the next 3.5 years, I can bring a person on here from a different trade, different age, and I guarantee, I'm almost willing to bet, I see that you have this nice poker table here.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet that every single one of them will share some sort of story where their journeyman shared knowledge with them. And if it wasn't for that, they wouldn't be able to move on and progress and get better. And at one time, they were in a dark spot. And if it wasn't for the brotherhood, they wouldn't have been able to get out of it. Or I was dealing with addiction, and if it wasn't for the local and having a program for me, I'm telling you right now, if you're out there and you're listening and you're looking for a career, not a job, you're looking for a career where you feel valued, you feel like you're participating, you feel like you are a part of something and you're not just another number, come to the trades. We need you. We want you. We want to help you. We want to train you, right? And yeah, man, like
I think that's
what's up, you know?
I think that's what I like so much about it, because you're bringing in awareness, and even through the pre-apprenticeship, this is relatively new. Like,
Yeah.
kind of like how you were saying, we graduated from the same high school. You actually got to see that pamphlet. I didn't see anything.
Sure.
There was nothing. There was always like, just go to Ventura College, figure out from there.
Right.
So that was that was the major option. But I don't think you even know this, but I'm in the union too.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, local 484 plumber.
Okay, so yeah, you're a UA guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. So
hey, shout out to Shane Boston and Tim Redondo, man. Those guys are the truth.
those are the guys,
Yeah.
the business managers and the director or whatever.
Yeah.
They're the ones that, in a weird way, the trades, like this podcast is put on the back of the trades. Like I was able to create this because of the fact that I got into the union.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And it took me a while, because for me personally, I didn't see that pamphlet. I didn't hear about it until way later on.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I would have heard about this pre-apprenticeship, because I would have been hands-on in there already. And I had to go the like scenic route. It took me a long time before I actually heard about it. And it was like one of my family members was also in the UA, and they were like, hey, have you thought about this? Like, I just heard about it. I got in. And I was like, okay, well, let me try to get in. And for me personally, it took me a long time, because I think the application process was like 2 years.
Sure.
And one, had some experience before in the trades, because I was doing like property management, started in maintenance.
Okay.
And I was doing that. And eventually I ended up at Point Magoo as a government contractor. And then eventually I got the call to come join the hall.
Nice.
And the brotherhood. And one of the crazy things is that you take an oath. You are literally, it's not, you're not just saying this to like, hey, come over here, we need some like positions filled. It's like, no, this is a family.
Yep.
This is a brotherhood. It was a legitimate thing. Like, you're there, you're holding your hand up, you're taking the oath, you're being part of this, where it's like, if you ever go through something tough, we're going to be there to help you out. If you ever get fired from a job, or if like the job is done, you come to the hall, you put your name on the books, you get put on unemployment, but we're going to keep tabs on you until we get you the next position.
Yeah.
You got a call, boom, hey, we have this open position. Is this good for you?
Sure.
Like, in your area, blah, blah, blah. The whole process. It's something that's like, it's a hidden gem.
Yeah.
Like how you described it. It's like no one, not like no one really knows about this, but we're trying to tell everybody. We're trying to tell everybody. And I mean, even through there, like, I ended up doing like separate work, and I actually ended up going through the state to get my C36 license.
Oh, okay, cool.
And
Good on you for doing that.
yeah, it was more of a let me just confirm that I know my stuff. Because in a weird way, when I got into the union, I got white carded in because of my previous experience.
Okay, yeah.
And so I became a journeyman way faster than a lot of other people. And once I got in, I felt like there was that little bit of like, oh, not a lot of people think I'm like the real deal. So I'm like, well, let me just take time out of my own day and try to like confirm that with that C36 license. But all in all, I think it's weird to notice that people that were going through like some of the toughest things training wise, like playing football, like you and me, ended up going through the trades to be in a brotherhood that was very similar to that.
Yeah.
But now you're getting paid and building a family and building a career, and you're happy, and you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loans. And I just see it. It's definitely a blessing.
Yeah.
It's definitely a blessing.
No, and you know, it's not as, don't get me wrong, it's still physically rigorous, right? But it's not like it was 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, right? Technology has now caught up with us where, you know, one example, I'm going to go back to the operating engineers. They are using drones in their surveying, right? And instead of, having two people like schlep around, this equipment and everything right now and, stake and mark and all this stuff, now they can do it from aerial views and take the topography pictures, and all this stuff. And for students now, for this generation, that's right up their alley. And some of the, in electrical, there's what's called control work. And that's the brain of operations. So anywhere like Procter and Gamble that has, these assembly lines and things like that, and all you see is robots moving around. You're like, oh, great. These robots are taking over our work. Well, who fixes the robots? You still have to have somebody skilled and trained to do that. So, this control guy, like Special Forces, comes in and he has less tools than the average person. And one of those tools is his laptop. And he goes to the brain, he plugs in, he starts downloading, looking at everything, and starts to assess and to troubleshoot like that. And I remember seeing a dude do that and going, man, I want to do that. That looks a lot better than what I'm doing right now. And at the time, I was lugging what's called a 4-inch rigid conduit. And rigid's made out of galvanized steel. And it's 4 inches in diameter, and it is a 10-foot long stick. And just one of these pieces of conduit is like, dude,
it's heavy.
It's heavy, man. Yeah. And I was just doing that all day, from 6 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. And I remember seeing this dude thinking,
who needs a gym at that point?
Bro, yeah. I remember seeing this dude going, man, what am I doing wrong? And it wasn't that I was doing anything wrong. It's that we all have to pay our dues. And it's a process. And the reason it's a process, and people say, trust the process, is because when I graduated and when I saw that dude, I was a third-year apprentice. If I were to try to do that at that time, I would have failed miserably. Having patience and finishing the program, they introduced me to it enough to a point where I could teach myself. And there's a gentleman by the name of Joe Johnson, Jumping Joe Johnson. He worked for Oilfield Electric for a long time. He was our controls guru, per se, and he's been retired for a while. Great guy. He plays the banjo and plays bluegrass here locally, and just watching him do what he loves now and enjoying his retirement is a testament to all his hard work. But I remember he told me, like, if you can do this, you will never be unemployed.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, you're right. And I ended up getting into it, and being able to go to these different contractors and having that in my back pocket, that once they found out, they're like, oh, dude, and it's essentially, it is what you put into it, and that's with everything, right? Like,
right, yeah.
If you're going to start a garden in the spring because all of a sudden you spent the winter time looking at a bunch of memes and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, I'm going to start gardening. Well, if you don't tend the soil, if you don't properly care for it, that's just going to be one of those things that you decided to do as I started it, but I never how many
one-time hobby.
Yeah, how many of those things do we do, right? And it just ends up going on the shelf, right? This is something that if you dedicate yourself to it, just like anything else, nobody could ever take that skill away from you. Just like that degree. If you go off to academia, you get that degree, nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can take that knowledge away from you. Regardless, you will forever have that ingrained in your psyche. But can you put it to work? Can you bring it to fruition? Can you take not only that knowledge and that degree, but can it transfer into real life success? And that's where we have a disservice to our kids, because we encourage them. I myself, you can be whatever it is you put your mind to. You want to be the next president of the United States? By golly, yes, you can. You want to be an entrepreneur and you want to be the next Jeff Bezos? By golly, yes, you can. Okay. But how, Dad? You can go ahead and encourage them all you want. You can go ahead and tell them that you can be the greatest thing since sliced bread. But how? And we don't have the patience nor the time to show them the how. And so we allow other people to do that for us, basically raise and teach our kids. And then when it's time for them to be an adult and they're floundering and we go back to, well, I told you should have done this. Well, telling somebody you should do something and showing them how to do something are completely different things. And that's the difference of the trades and fully accredited apprenticeship programs. Because right now, I'm going to tell you, one of the things, the way we got connected is our public relations through our pre-apprenticeship program, Miss Allison Kosman.
Yes.
Very grateful for her. She does great work. She put us together and everything. But she had sent me something going, hey, do you want me to post this on our social media? It looks like Home Depot is offering training certificates.
I saw that. Yeah.
In electrical, plumbing, and it's like, whoa, hold on. That's cool, right? That's okay. Like, but if somebody is going there thinking that when they get out of that program, they're going to be an electrician or a pipe fitter, I'm sorry, you're not. The only way to do that is through a fully accredited apprenticeship program. And this is how I equate it, right? Home Depot, building material, right? They are a cornerstone of construction because they supply material. So without material, we couldn't build, right? Tools. They also have tools. They are part of that. They are an integral part of that. So the reason I bring that up is because if you had transmission issues with your car, do you think you would take it to O'Reilly and say, hey, fix it?
Probably not.
Probably not, right? Because, well, I took it there because, well, they supply everything that goes into a car. Why? Well, the person said they'd be able to sure, they can diagnose it. They can give you the little code reading to take to a fully licensed auto mechanic to be able to fix, and they're probably going to buy from O'Reilly, so you're going to get the parts there, but they're going to install it, right?
Right.
So that's kind of like the same thing here with this type of training. Yeah, it's training, and I call it like awareness training. It makes you aware of what's out there, and it gives you just enough to get you interested, but it also gives you enough to get you in trouble.
A lot of trouble,
right?
Because if you think about it, there's been so many times that I've gone to Home Depot and they have material that is not up to code or it's against code. And to them, it's a product that they sell. To us, it's like we install that product, that is going to be a big no-no, and we can get in trouble. And because we know the results of it. Right. So it'd be a lot different if Home Depot was like outsourcing to you guys. Like, hey, we're going to have Tri-County Builders Trade come and teach classes in our facility versus, hey, we're just going to hire someone that is an electrician that might be able to do it.
Yeah. And it's a good thought, right? It's a good thought, and I look at it as, okay, here's a leader in their industry. They recognize that there's a deficit, so they're trying to help, right? And that's how I see it. Most union guys would be like, those rat bastards, and let's burn them down. It's like, well, hold on, wait a minute. Let's take a look at what this actually is. They're not going to create competition for us. There's no way. There's no way. If somebody takes that certificate and they go to a contractor and a contractor hires them, okay? If it's a non-union contractor and they hire these people, they hire them knowing that they're going to have to train them, or they're going to have to pigeonhole them into doing just one thing for the rest of their life, right? All right, I'm glad you got that certificate, son, but you're going to install light switches, and that's all you're going to do. And then this person, 23, 24, a couple years, that's all they do. And man, they are faster than lightning when they change these switches and things like that. And then they graduate to, oh, well, you can change receptacles now. And, oh, well, you can change breakers and stuff. But what happens when all that fails and you've changed a dozen switches and the lights still don't come on? You do not actively have knowledge. You were not trained to troubleshoot. You were trained as an installer. As a skilled and trained person in the trades, we are not only trained to install it, but we're trained to safely and equitably, in a safe manner and under budget, install it, maintain it, and troubleshoot it should something happen. Okay? If you end up using, one of those contractors, and hey, they're trying to put food on the table, there's nothing wrong with these contractors, for whatever reason, they're not union, whatever, you catch more worker bees with honey. So if you're a non-union entity out there, hey, get at me, let's talk, there's ways to help build your brand and your company the right way.
Or unionizing the company too.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of contractors that we need.
Yeah, exactly. And so let's start that conversation, because would you rather have a buttload of installers, and then when the poo hits the fan, you have to contract somebody else out instead of keeping that money in-house?
It's like hiring from Craigslist versus like hiring straight from the union.
Straight up. And so, most people go, oh, well, unions, you guys are expensive. If you're going to go on these public works projects, you're going to do nothing but drive up the costs. Well, guess what? That's a fallacy. And the reason is because on all public works jobs, every single public works job, regardless of what it is, if it's public works, taxpayer dollars are being used to build it, you have to utilize the proper pay scale, which is prevailing wage. Mm-hmm. There's no ifs, ands, or coconuts about it, my dude. You have to pay the prevailing wage. And guess who sets those standards? The unions, the signatory union contractors. They're the ones that set that standard, together with the unions. That is what's used as a prevailing wage. So when people say, oh, you're going to do nothing but drive costs up. No, you're not. The only difference you're going to see is in the amount of time it takes to install it.
And the quality. The
quality, less amount of change orders, right? The warranties that you get, the troubleshooting that you get. And most people don't know this, but design build. So what happens if you're in the middle of a project and then all of a sudden, oh man, if we go any deeper, everything's going to cave in, and it's actually going to be flooded with groundwater from underneath that we didn't know was there. How are we going to fix this? Well, sure, you can get an engineer that will calculate and go, well, you need this amount of pressure with this type of material and blah, blah, blah. But then it also takes the installer to go, hold on, that won't work because this intrusion here isn't fresh water. It's salt water. Mm-hmm. And if that salt water mixes with this product, it ain't going to go.
It's not going to work.
So you see where the real life installer checks the engineer and is able to save the project, right?
It's like an oversight.
Skilled and trained. Mm-hmm. That is what we do. Not only do we give you the book smarts and the knowledge, we put it to work, and we make sure that you know from start to finish the what are we installing, how are we going to install it, and why are we installing it like this. As opposed to, hey, what are you doing today? Pues, light switches. Oh, yeah? You gonna do anything else? No. Well, why are you putting it over there? That's where it says. Who said? The boss. Well, where are the plans? I don't have no plans. The boss marks it on the floor. Wherever he marks it,
that's
48 inches to center, that's where I put the box, and that's where I'm going to put it. Okay. Well, do you know why it's 48 inches? No. I don't care. I'm just here to get my check.
I get paid hourly.
Right? Well, it's at that level to allow for ADA requirements. People don't know that. If it was any higher, then, our brothers and sisters in wheelchairs,
they wouldn't be able to reach
it. They wouldn't be able to reach it. So that may be like, whatever, bro. Like, but at the same time, you have to know that code, because if something happens and all of a sudden OSHA, OSHA, everybody knows OSHA. If OSHA comes on site, oh man, damn it. Like, we did something wrong. You're going to get questioned. They have to question you. They have to question everybody that's been part of that installation. They have to take a look at all the documents, everything like that, all the safety provisions, all the material sheets, everything like that, who was on staff, who was installing it, and then they interview everybody as to how you installed it and why did you install it that way. And if you have a guy that goes, because they told me,
doesn't look good.
That's not, they're going to come back and it's not going to be a good judgment on your behalf.
And
so
safety issues too. I mean, if you're digging a hole and it's more than 4 feet, I mean, you need some shoring.
Yeah.
That if you don't have the shoring, that thing caves in, that person might die.
But dude, I'll tell you what, man, you know, one day, you know, maybe one day you can just travel around with me. We'll go and, you know, get some burritos or something. And I'll just take you to different job sites and you can physically see the difference between a skilled and trained job site that is utilizing skilled and trained labor and a job site that is not.
Yeah.
There is a huge difference. One of the differences that you see is the cleanliness of that job site, right? A skilled and trained job site understands that you're going to have slips, trips, falls. They go over all that stuff. They go over all the safety mitigation and stuff like that. And so it is a top-down mentality that starting at the tippy top of the owner of the company all the way down to that first-year apprentice, safety is our utmost concern, okay? So you can see it on the job site. There's not trash on the floor. Everything's piled up. Everything's barricaded. They have fencing around places. They have the porta potties. There's enough for the amount of people. They have wash stations. They have, you know, places for shade and all that stuff, right? They have designated trash cans and whatnot. The trash isn't overflowing. And even though it's a construction site and there's dirt on the ground and everything, from an installer standpoint, it's clean and it's safe.
Yeah.
You go to a job site that doesn't, you know, maybe they have one contractor that's skilled and trained, but you go to one of those job sites, man, there's stuff everywhere. There's pieces of pipe on the floor that have been cut that have been there for days. There's pieces of drywall that are broken off and strips and dust and all, and everybody's walking around and dust is coming up and nobody's wearing a face mask or safety glasses
or gloves or any of that
stuff.
You
know, and then you know, walking around the job site, the porta potties are overflowing and there's only 2 for 30 people and there's no shade, and you know, there's stuff that you wouldn't know, the layperson wouldn't know just walking by. They'd walk by and go, oh, there's a construction site. But I can tell the difference between a skilled and trained construction site and one that isn't. You know, and again, if there are any listeners out there and you're a contractor and you're a non-union contractor and you have whatever reason for not being union, the majority of the time people say it's too expensive, I can't afford to pay the fringe benefits and stuff like that. There are ways that the trades can help you with that. It's not like back in the day. Everybody thinks we're like the Goodfellas. You remember the Goodfellas movie, right?
Yeah. The mafia's in the union.
You know, and I'll tell you what, that is a part of our history. You know, it is. And
I believe in New York, a lot of the mafia was controlling the unions.
Yeah, and so it's a part of our history. And the thing is that when you take a look at our history and you look back at those events, you can't look at it and just be like, oh, that's a black guy. Well, okay, but we learned from it. And we got bigger, better, faster, stronger, right? And, you know, talking about that mentality, you know, in those movies, they talked about Teamsters, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody's like, man, if you're part of the Teamsters, then you're connected,
you're
bro.
Affiliated.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, the Teamsters out here, Local 186, and their principal officer, their executive secretary, principal officer, Abel Garcia, that guy, this last Sunday, they got their whole membership together. Okay, we're talking about hundreds of people. They invited the mayor of Oxnard, Louis MacArthur. Okay, they invited him. They gave out turkeys and the whole fixings for a Thanksgiving dinner to their members, right? They don't have to.
Yeah.
But it's leaders like Abel Garcia, which by the way, they don't have that much skin in the game when it comes to construction.
They're in Carpinteria, right?
No, they're here in Ventura.
Oh,
they're right next to Taft Electric off of Eastman.
Oh, okay.
And the thing is that in construction, there's so many overlaying crafts that some crafts do the same thing, right? So the laborers, the local here, La Una 585. You know, they have drivers for certain, like water trucks and stuff. The operating engineers, you know, Local 12, they have the same thing, right? And so then Teamsters, so there's these different crafts that have overlaying, jobs that sometimes it doesn't go to either one of them. And it sucks because, Teamsters historically, if it has, tires and a wheel, they take care of it.
Right.
So regardless of how much skin in the game, they have opened their facility to us without question to utilize for that pre-apprenticeship program
Mm-hmm.
because they believe in it. And they know that it is a way to afford opportunities not only to some of their members that may want some extra training, but the kids of the members. And so we have people like Abel Garcia of the Teamsters Local 186 and his district council, Teamsters District Council 42, that have bought into the vision. We can do better. Regardless if we have skin in the game, regardless if it's going to really affect us, they have this stigma of the good old boys club and stuff. You mentioned Teamsters and everybody right away, oh, Hoffa, the mom and stuff. Look, man, get in the now, because if you pay attention to what's going on now, it's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. This gentleman and his local have completely turned it around. They've increased their membership, which means increased opportunities for people to a point where they can give Thanksgiving dinners to their members. But you look at the other side of things, you look at capitalism, right? And okay, we need capitalism to get going. How many trillions of dollars of a bonus did Mr. Elon Musk get the other day from his shareholders?
I believe it was like $1 trillion.
Right, something
crazy,
ridiculous, right?
large
like
amount.
Straight up, that dude could end homelessness and famine in the United States and give every veteran out here, $10,000 a piece or something ridiculous, right? There's just these ridiculous numbers, but he doesn't. And you know what? Some people go, well, he doesn't have to. He built that empire on his own sweat, blood, and tears and blah, 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 and he deserves that. Well, you know what? He didn't do it on his own.
It's true.
If he did it on his own, then he wouldn't have any workers. And it would be fully autonomous, fully self-contained. But that's not reality, people. And he should get, absolutely, as a founder, as the owner of a company that you built on your blood, sweat, and tears, absolutely get yours. Get yours. Good on you. That's capitalism. That's the American way, man. That's the American dream for sure.
Right.
But you didn't do it on your own.
True. So your guys' facility, that's where with the Teamsters, that's where you guys do all the training?
We do the majority of our training there. Which, we utilize the outside of their facilities, and to do that, and the inside their hall and everything. But then we also partner up with like the sheet metal workers, Local 104, shout out to my brother Rich Naide, who's the assistant business manager over there, and Brian Hill, who is the coordinator over there for their apprenticeship program. They open up their facilities. They're there in Ventura as well, a stone throws away from the Teamsters.
So all the training is done in those two locations.
Oh, those two. We go and we tour the operating engineers facility here in Camarillo. Every now and then we'll go to the carpenters, which is in Camarillo as well. And the carpenters, one of the things is that there are some trades that are large, like really large. Carpenters are huge, man.
Yeah.
That they stand with us in solidarity, but they don't participate in our council. But we're very grateful because here in Ventura County, we actually have a good working relationship with the carpenters where, hey, we're all signatory. We're all rowing the same direction. It's all good. Let's go get that, right? And let's help each other out. So they open up their facility, the UA. 484 off of a vineyard.
Yeah, right in Ventura as well.
You folks have opened up your facility.
Well, actually, we have our training facility off of Vineyard.
Off of Vineyard, and then your hall's over
It's over there
off
Ventura.
the avenue. Yeah. And so that's where we go, and then every now and then we visit fully functioning sites, and we have a project with the county of Ventura, Fire Station 26 in Santa Paula. So we'll go there and, we'll check it out.
Is there, what would I guess if someone new to, or that someone that's listening to this that is thinking of possibly getting into the Tri-County Builder's Trade, a pre-apprenticeship program, what requirements? I know that you mentioned 18-year-olds, but what other requirements would there be for that?
Sure. So to get into a pre-apprenticeship, you got to be 18 or older, or a graduating senior, right? So we've had some kids that are like almost going to be 18, but they're on the verge of graduating. So, I give them a waiver, right? I give them a mulligan on that. That's far and few in between.
Right.
There is no age maximum. We actually have some individuals that are retired. We have one we call, after they graduate, we call them brothers and sisters, right? They went through a program. So we have one sister up in Santa Barbara County. She's in her 60s.
Oh, wow.
She's a widow, and she decided, and this was a couple cohorts ago, we call our programs cohorts, and she had opened up to us because, we do some icebreakers and things like that to get to know each other, and she opened up, well, I'm a widow, and I've been a widow for, the last 5 years, and I took this class because I wanted to learn how to fix things around the house, and I was hoping to make new friends. She ended up becoming like the surrogate mama of the cohorts, where every now and then she'll pop in and, and help or whatever and try to reach out and stuff. But then she'll send pictures like, hey, I ended up replacing my garbage disposal.
Oh, that's nice.
Get out of here. I've replaced the garbage disposal, and it sucks, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you got,
not
like,
easy. You have
no, it isn't. I'm one of those ones that I will take a half hour's time to line up pillows and all that stuff. Cause if I'm gonna be laying down on my back underneath the sink, I better be comfortable. Right. And so of course that prima donna comes out. So then I asked her, I go, well, what did you put down? She goes, I just put a couple buckets down and some trash bags, and I just got in there and got dirty. And I said, you didn't put any cushioning or nothing? And she looks at me and she goes, why? So then I told her, well, me, I did it because my back, and here we are, she's 65 years old, basically schooling me in changing her garbage disposal, which she attested to. I wouldn't have felt comfortable doing that.
Right.
After, before taking this class.
Right.
So, there's no max, right? Essentially, as long as you can do the bare minimum during our classes, like pay attention. Our classes during the week are at night, and they're on Zoom. So you have to have the capability of being able to navigate through Zoom. So that's one thing. And even if you don't, we spend time on that, where yours truly will do a tutorial and invite people that don't know how to do it. So
is there any physical requirements?
Oh yeah.
For people that want to understand.
And that's across the board too. Like a lot of the requirements that we have basically grandfather you into the apprenticeship program. So we're not asking anything of you that they're not going to ask.
Right.
So one of those things is, you will be lifting anywhere between 25 to 50 pounds worth of weight at any given time. You will be rotating. There will be uneven surfaces. You will be walking a lot. You will be lifting. You will be twisting. You will be fully extended. You're going to have to, climb, and
a
ladder, or sometimes, if you're afraid of heights and things like that, So we go over all that stuff. And typically what I do is I do like an informational session for people that are interested. And we actually have it on our Facebook page and everything. So if you're interested in it, you can take a look. It'll give you the ins and outs of it.
What's the name of the Facebook?
The Tri-Counties Building Construction Trades. That's what
so
it
if they
is.
search that up, they'll find it.
Oh, yeah.
Go from there.
And they can go from there, yeah.
These cohorts that you're saying, what's the duration of the class or certification?
So it's a 12-week cohort, and you go to class 2 nights a week, either Monday and Wednesdays or Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and it's from 5 to 8 typically. Sometimes it's from 6 to 8 depending on the curriculum. But it's over a 12-week period. Right around 6 weeks, they have a interview with me where it's a check-in. And it's via Zoom, and I check in with all 3 counties to see how they're doing, see if they're enjoying it, see if they have any issues, because we've partnered up with not only the Workforce Development Board here locally, but also Goodwill Industries to provide services like boot stipends and vouchers for gas and things like that. So we try to take excuses, out of it for them. Somebody says, well, I don't have... I don't have a laptop or anything like that. Well, we'll get them an iPad or a Chromebook or something like that. And it's a loaner.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, well, you know what? I can't get to these classes. Well, we'll figure out ride sharing, or if you have somebody take you, turn in the receipt, and You know, it's a process. People think that, oh, well, you're going to cut me a check right then and there. Well, with a grant, every little thing has to be accounted for. Like, no joke. If I'm off by a penny, it'll get kicked back in, where's that penny, right? So we explain to everybody it's all a process. You go, you make your request, and it's about a 2-week turnaround because the state has to approve it, you know, and then the funds are let, and you have to show a need, right? So people like you and I, like if we wanted to do this for schnitz and giggle is what I say, right? If we wanted to do this, well, we already have a 9 to 5 per se, right? We don't have a need for those extra services. So we technically wouldn't qualify, right? So I also tell people that you have to have a need, right? You can't just...
A justifiable need,
Yeah, you can't just take out of the ATM and not put money back. At some point, we're going to run out of money, right? So there has to be some sort of justifiable need. We take individuals that do not have their GED or their diploma because it is an exploratory class. We don't necessarily need it. However, in order to be placed in a fully accredited apprenticeship program, that is one of the requirements, the prerequisites that they have, that you have at least your high school diploma or GED, right? Now, the cool thing about being partnered up with Goodwill Industries and the Workforce Development Board is that if you're one of those individuals that do not have that, there's programs that we can put you in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it. Like there's multiple options in different directions. There's you almost try to delete the option of any excuse or any inability of being able to attend.
And why? Because I can, I will, I must, man. Yes. And see, it all ties in right there. You know, everybody out there, you know, regardless of the high school you went to, if you ever come across me, you're learning the Cougar way, whether you want it or not. You know,
the best way.
Right. Yeah, hey, man, I think so. But like you said, we try to take those excuses away, because then sometimes when we're working with some of these individuals, you know, there is that mindset that, oh well, you know, these people that have been in and out of housing or in and out of incarceration, or you know, they're just. They don't get it, right? And, well, yeah, they don't get it because nobody has taken the time to show them how to do it. So, of course, they're going to be a hot mess. Of course, they're not going to know how to do this. Of course, they're not going to know how to act in an environment like this, you know, because if they've served some time and they're 6 months removed, they're still in that transitional phase where they feel people are looking at them and judging them, and they don't want to take the time to help them. And that's not the case with this program. We don't care what you did yesterday. We don't care. All we care about is today. Are you here today? Fantastic. What can we do today? You know, you start worrying about things in the past, you won't look forward to your future. If your head's always in the rearview mirror, right? You're always looking in the rearview mirror, you're driving, what's going to happen? You're probably going to crash. You're probably going to wreck, right? Well, if you continue looking forward, but you don't look to learn from the past, and you don't look in your rear view or your side view mirrors and you merge, what's probably going to happen? You're probably going to crash. So we teach you a balance. It's okay to look at the past, your past mistakes, so that you don't repeat them. But don't stay in the past. Look towards the future, but don't count on it today. So what are you going to do today? Are you going to do your homework? You're going to turn it in? You're going to go visit that job site? You're going to put that resume in? You're going to go answer that call from a potential employer that you were questioning, that, you know, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. What are you going to do? And so we're there not only as instructors, but almost like life coaches. And it's crazy because, again, I'm just another semi from Colonia, bro. Like, never did I think playing Little League over here, you know, Northside Little League or anything like that, that I would ever be driving by that Little League park on my way to City Hall to go talk to the mayor. And so all these past visions of playing Little League, my grandma, God rest her soul, man, she used to get on all the umpires. It didn't matter if I was 9 years old, not going to the World Series. She was giving it to them umpires and letting them know they sucked. Right? But you know, it's you start driving around the neighborhood, and there's this pride
in where you live.
Man, I'm able to not only work, but I'm able to thrive in my hometown. And I look around and I see, you know, over there used to be celery over there, you know. Now now where they're building, you know, where Amazon was at, man, that was just fields as far as I can see, you know, man.
And they're building another one too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, that just goes to show that there's so much construction being done, not only in our area but in all the counties, and it's just gonna grow more and more. Eventually, if you think about it, infrastructure in itself is eventually going to deteriorate because nothing lasts forever.
Exactly.
So you're going to have pipes are going to rust out. Electrical is going to be needed upgraded. I mean, the codes are ever changing.
Oh yeah,
They're ever changing completely. So things that worked in the past might not be as efficient or might no longer work in the future. So we're going to need those people to come into those trades to learn and then eventually go do that service for us. And like you said, for every 3 people that are coming out, 1 person's coming in. The math ain't mathing there, so it means that there's a lack of. So I think what you're doing is great. I think the fact that this is relatively new, but you guys are providing options for people coming out of high school. Maybe some people see what you're describing, where it's like, well, do I really want to pull a loan for $100,000 to go to school when my aunt did the same thing a couple years before me, and boom, she doesn't have a job, or she's working a minimum wage job, or we practically could get the same job without the degree. So it's like you're giving them that option, and I think that's a great thing. As far as them reaching out to you or the Tri-Counties, other than Facebook and Instagram,
sure.
what other options? Like, do you guys have a website?
So we do have a website, Tri-Counties, buildingtrades.com, I believe is what it is. It is on our Facebook, so all of our other portals are there. But if you just search Tri-Counties Building and Construction Trades, you'll get the whole gamut.
Perfect.
The link is there. Now, we are at the tail end of this grant right now. We are coming to the tail end where we're going to be wrapping up March of 2026. But we're still taking applicants because we are relentlessly working at getting other grants. We're not sure if it's going to be throughout the Tri-Counties, or what, but we are working on other grants right now to be able to, take a little bit of time in between, right? Myself and my staff, we've been working quite a bit for the last, 4 years, and very grateful, that's not I got to work, very grateful for it because we've helped a lot of people. But it's been nonstop, my dude. As soon as one graduates, the other one starts, and literally we are 6 to 7 days a week, so we as a staff are looking forward to at least having a month off.
Right.
But we're going to continue doing it. So anybody that reaches out onto that platform and signs up, there's a 99.9999% chance that you're going to be put on a waiting list. And once we have those other grants, we will be reaching out to you and letting you know, here's the new grant, here's the new opportunity, here's where you sign up, here's the new platform, right? So what we do is we just ask everybody, hey, go follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, go check out our webpage to stay up with the latest and greatest. Between myself and our public relations, in our media guru, Miss Allie, you're either getting answered by her, you're getting answered by me. And, it's one of those kind of like Deion Sanders, right? I ain't hard to find, so, I'm letting everybody know, go on our social media, reach out, and you'll be put in contact with me. And you won't just be some automated service, right? You'll be put in contact with me, and I'll put you in contact with our coordinators. And even though you may not be in our program now, we can still help you. If you're interested, I've gotten some training before, I got some experience, can you help me? Yeah, sure. Let me give you the number of these people and stuff, and, keep me in the loop, and whatever I can do to help, let me know.
To end it perfectly with like a little bit of scripture from the Bible, he who knocks, the door will be open to them, and then he who asks shall receive. So,
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hey,
thank you, Joshua, for coming on. Thank you for spreading the awareness, and I hope nothing but the best. Hopefully we get another grant for it. And anybody that's listening, go check them out. Go look at the website. It's an opportunity to get on the wait list. Do it. do it. It's better to be on the wait list than to be waiting for a different opportunity. So go take advantage of it. Alrighty, let's end this.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.